What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am back here with another video, and today we are going to be talking about and predicting the NFL's Week 1, but as well as just the entire team season, how they're going to go, how I feel like they are this year. I'm going to try my best to try to rank them in the divisions. At the end of this video, I'll talk about the possible rewards and maybe even my Super Bowl picks. Now, the Super Bowl picks, those are going to be interesting. I'm going to have my heart picks, what I want picks, and then what I realistically see happening, which the season could be any which way. Before I get into it, I'm going to try to be a little fast. I will be doing watch-along streams every other week. I'm trying to. At least Thursdays are going to be a little rough because I have school some weeks that are late. So if you guys want to join that, it's at twitch.tv/@ProDavid_777. Link in the description below. Also, a lot of other fun stuff. Follow me on social media. Let's create a community. Let's have some fun, and have some fun watching sports. So let's get into it. Ravens versus Kansas City. I think the Ravens are going to take a step down this year. I think that they're going to still be good. They obviously will have good quarterback play, but like every other team, if their quarterback goes down, the team's going to be awful. I don't think they have anybody behind Lamar that is truly trustworthy, even though I think they just got back Huntley. So that might be interesting. But if that offense goes down, it's over. If Lamar's not there, it's over. And at the end of the day, the Ravens are going to probably be top of the division. I have them predicted to be first in the division. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, the Ravens are going to be fighting still for top spot. But if quarterback goes down, it's over. The reason why I think their defense might take a step back this year, even though they got, with a lot of subtractions, they made some good additions. The fact that your defensive coordinator's gone, I think that plays a really big role. He obviously took the head coaching job in Seattle, so they're going to be a different team. So we'll see how they are this year. I still expect them to be pretty good. They go against Kansas City Week 1. Kansas City is obviously, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. I said that last prediction video, and I was right. They're going to go for a three-peat, and they really have a great chance of doing so. I thought last year their roster wasn't as good as the roster that won it previous. I really do think now that this roster is built to win a Super Bowl. But just because you look like you have a roster doesn't mean you can. Especially I have a bad feeling about Patrick Mahomes this year. I don't know why I have a bad feeling. Maybe he's going to get hurt in some way. Andy Reid will have that team going no matter what. I think it's just although you have an injury-prone backup. But I think that Kansas City is just going to be the Chiefs. They're going to be first in the division again. They're going to be a top team. There's no doubt about it. And a team like Baltimore or a team like the Texans have to defeat these guys so that way they can go on and have hopes of winning a Super Bowl. For this game, I am going to go take the Chiefs. They're in Arrowhead. I think this is a tough game for Lamar. Normally, the Ravens do win Week 1, but it's a tough game against a tough opponent at a tough stadium. So, what the hell? I got all these stains and stuff. It's a clean shirt. Well, not clean anymore. I'll take Kansas City in that game. The Brazil game, we have the Packers versus the Eagles. Now, I think the Packers are going to be in the middle of the pack or fighting for that first place spot. I have them ranked around second. I think they're definitely going to be a second team in the division. They're still pretty young. They're still developing. My thing is, if Jordan Love goes down or has a down year, this team won't be that great. We also have to consider they weren't really that good last year either. Remember, they lost games against the Raiders. They lost games against the Steelers. They got into the playoffs, but they lost a lot of early games. That's why a lot of people expected them to get destroyed by the Cowboys last year. So we have to see how they are this year. I think Josh Jacobs does help them a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And when it's all said and done, I think that the Packers are going to be a good team. It's all about how the strength of schedule is, because I'm not looking at any of their schedules right now, even though I probably should have gone that in depth. Next video, I'll do that next year. But we'll see, because I'm filming this. I filmed this 10 times, just so you guys know. This is my 11th time doing this, and this has to be the one that goes in today. I also have a third monitor, so that's why I keep looking up here. The Eagles. I think they're going to be a good team this year. They obviously have to take a bounce back year after what happened last year. As long as Hurts can stay healthy, this team will be pretty good. Even if he's not, I think Kenny could help them win games. They obviously have a great team, great weapons. The defensive secondary gives me some questionable vibes. I think that defensive front should be okay. I just think it lacks the edge rusher now that Hassan Reddick's gone. But they could. I'm trying to remember if they got anybody to fill that spot. I think the Eagles still will be a top team. I think even with their best center in probably league history leaving, I think they're still relatively okay. Saquon should have a great year with them and give a little bit of assistance. They're going to be battling for first place. I'll take the Eagles here, but they'll be battling first place with the Cowboys for sure. And in this game, I'll take the Eagles. I think it's just Eagles are a lot more experienced. They got a lot more people on this team and a lot more playmakers, I think. But it's going to be a big battle between a young secondary versus a young wide receiver group. It's really going to be who wins what matchup, So now we go into the Sunday game. Pittsburgh versus the Falcons. Pittsburgh's going to be a team I think that a lot of people need to realize is way better than they think they are. They have an early schedule and a relatively easy schedule early on. They're going against teams with bad O-lines. They're going against teams with bad O-lines, and some of them are rookie quarterbacks. And some of them are just not great quarterbacks. Like their first 9-8 games, they have to go against a rookie Jaden Daniels, or their second games against a rookie Bo Nix, and then they have to go against Daniel Jones and that terrible Giants defense. And then you got to go against the Jets, who also have a terrible defense. So Pittsburgh is going to be put into a situation where they could very well win these games. Their defense is good. They fixed their secondary. Their secondary now has too many people. Their middle linebacking crew looks really good, with a top 3, which I think is solid. And then their defensive line's great. Their offensive line's good when healthy. I think people are giving them too much stuff because of preseason. These are the same people that say, hey, don't worry about preseason. It's preseason. But then they still overreact when guys don't put 100% effort in preseason. Okay. So then I think their running backs are good. I think their wide receivers are fine. I think they still will look at one come trade deadline, but I think they're fine. This team's going to go and win. Probably try to fight for the division. I think they're the second best team. I think my other hot take for this team is that the Steelers are going to be replacing their quarterback at one point or the other. I think Justin Fields has to get some reps. He is going to either take over this team or he is going to take over due to injury. So it's either or. But especially early on, don't be shocked if he gets benched. Russ gets benched. Because if Russ doesn't play well in those early games, I don't think Mike Tomlin's going to make the same mistakes as he did last year and keep Trubisky in for 3 games. They lose. Then you put in Mason Rudolph. No. You need to make a decision fast. If Russ is having a bad game halfway through and last week he had a bad game, make the switch. I'm making the switch right then and there to see if Justin Fields can at least utilize his speed and get his team momentum. You can then bench him right away. That's the problem, though. You have 2 guys who are going to be competing all year long. Russ doesn't want to lose his job, and Fields wants to get his job. So you're going to get some pretty balanced quarterback play, and all they need to do is score a touchdown. Because if this Steelers defense is the reason why they won 10 games last year too, and I know I'm talking a lot about the Steelers, but come on, I know more about them. They won 10 games last year for having a crap schedule. Or for not having a crazy schedule. They won games that they shouldn't have won, but they lost games they should have won. Like the game when Trubisky came in, we should have won all 3 of those games. We should have won all 3 of them because of how great our defense was. So our defense, even better than last year, I'm expecting them to do just as good. The Falcons are a similar team where their defense is solid. Their offense has some question marks. I think quarterback, if you can come back, Kirk Cousins can come back, they'll be good. You have a good running back. You have a good tight end, but he's still not proven in the league. Same with Drake London. I'm interested in wondering how the weapons work out in that aspect. I do expect the Falcons defense to be pretty good, but I expect the Falcons defense. I expect the Falcons defense to show up a lot more than the Falcons offense. I think Kirk Cousins is going to, like, we always ask, like, okay, well, is it the wide receiver or the quarterback? Did Justin Jefferson just make his numbers look good? Maybe. But we're going to see if Drake London and Kyle Pitts can help him out. A pretty okay O-line. I'm going to go with the Steelers here in this victory just because of how the Steelers always react week one when it comes to defense. And defense, even last year, getting destroyed, they made quite a few turnovers. I mean, TJ had 3 sacks the first game against the 49ers. So think about that. Cardinals, they're a team that are interesting. There's only 2 weapons on that team that really make me interested. Like, Kyler has a solid tight end and a rookie wide receiver who looks pro ready. Compared to that, he doesn't have much. That offensive line's all right. That the running back's pretty okay, pretty good. The defense is not the greatest, but when they play passing wise, I think they're okay. Run game wise, they are awful. I hopeful that at least last year they were. So I'm interested in wondering how that happens. They're going to be one of those bottom teams in their division. By the way, Falcons, I expect them to be top of their division. But between the Cardinals, I just feel like they're going to be around the bottom, if not the bottom of their division, just because they don't have a lot of firepower. And I'm curious on wondering, I don't think we have a guy yet that I've mentioned, but like, is this an area where we consider like quarterback might be cut? Like, we're getting to that point where if you're not helping your team right now, you're gone from the league. You're gone from the team. And I'm going to name a lot of people that are going to be, think about it. The last few years, the 2021 and 2022 draft class, almost all those picks are gone from their original teams that drafted them. So think about that. There's only like 2 quarterbacks in both of those classes, I think. There's only one in the 2022, and I think there's only one that I could think of in the 2021 draft class. So we'll see what happens. But Kyler Murray, hopefully he can have a good year, prove that he is the quarterback of that team, and they can bring him some help the next year. The Buffalo Bills defense, I don't think is going to be that great. They're going to be good, but not great. They lost a lot of people. They lost a crap ton of veterans. Which is a smart and dumb move because, why keep the veterans that are always hurt all the time? Bring in some people that are going to help you out, right? So I think that the Bills are going to be a team. I don't see them winning the division. If anything, they're probably second, and I wouldn't be shocked if maybe third, but I'm going to say solid second in their division. Offensively, you have Josh Allen, who I think you're going to keep winning with. You have Cook, who, if they can get more of the run game, which towards the end of last year when they made that offensive position change, they ran a lot more and it was a little better. Wide receiver wise, Samuels is a solid 2, and they have that other guy. I can't remember his name. He went to Boise State. I don't want to say it if I mess it up. And then Keon Coleman. So receiving wise and tight ends, like they have solid tight ends. So I mean, like, they should be relatively okay on that offense. It's the defense that gives me question marks. And if Josh Allen doesn't turn over the ball like he did last year, this team could be really, really good. But if he has similar numbers as last year, turnover-wise, this team's going to be struggling because the defense, I don't think, will make up for those mistakes. In this game, I do have the Bills taking it. Titans and the Bears. Titans, obviously, this is a situation they need to see if Will Levis is really their guy. He played very well last year, but it's time to see if he's going to be really good this year. When it comes to weapons, tight end, I can't even remember who their tight end is. Their running backs aren't great. They're not terrible. His wide receiving room is pretty good. When Hopkins come back, he'll have Hopkins. He obviously has Calvin Ridley, who, I mean, that's still, I don't understand why people give him so much hype. And, I mean, he hasn't been good for a long time. I mean, he makes highlight plays here and there, but I don't know. Then they also have Traylon Burke, or not Traylon Burke. I forgot who they have at wide receiver 3, the guy that they've had a few years after getting rid of A.J. Brown. Their defense is interesting to me. I just don't see them going crazy. I could see them being 3rd or 4th in their division, and I'm going to go 3rd. You'll see why in a second, but they'll probably be 3rd, but I wouldn't be shocked if they get 4th. But it's just basically, hey, let's see what we have. Let's see the good pieces of our team so that way we can push them for the future. The Bears. The Bears have high expectations going into this season. This is also where I think we're going to possibly see our first head coaching job that the guy might get fired. Because if you do not see any improvement from your team, your guy's got to go. So I'm interested in wondering what the Bears are going to do here. Offensively, this is the best situation for a first-round rookie to go in because of the weapons they have. Defensively, they're pretty good. I'm going to assume they're going to probably fight for this division. I'm saying 3rd in this division just because it is still a young quarterback, a young core, and I think that you really have to consider the other 2 teams in that division. But they could very well fight for 2nd. But the Bears have definitely just a learning year. Hopefully Caleb Williams could just be that guy that they think that he could be. And we'll go from there. I have the Bears in that game. Patriots, this is a learning year. They're going to be dead last in their division. Their defense is not the greatest. Now that they're one of their best pass rushers, the best pass rusher on their team is gone, they have to have a rookie step into their spot. Their secondary is pretty okay. Their offense is going to be interesting. It's basically just say, hey, let's just sit and develop Drake May. When he gets in, he gets in. And then we go from there. It's pretty similar to how Tennessee, they're just trying to see their picks and then see who they're going to push for their rebuild. But I have no expectations for the Patriots unless Drake May pops off, but I doubt it. Cincinnati is a team that it's funny because everyone just, whenever somebody says Joe Burrow, it's the Bengals. Whenever somebody says the Bengals, it's Joe Burrow. So it's crazy to me that one man really helps this team go, which, I mean, he is a good quarterback. But here's the thing, right? We're all going here with the Bengals, and everyone's saying Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl, this, that, and the other. I like that everyone's saying that. The Bengals are a good team. But think about this for a minute. They have an older defense that really isn't that great. Then when you look at their offense, they have T. Higgins, solid. They have a young wide receiver 3, if I'm not mistaken. They have a guy who wants a penny more than the other guy and he's threatening to hold out. Then your running back is somebody that I don't even remember, Zach Moss, I believe. Your offensive line hopefully is better, but at the same time, I don't see this team being as great as everyone sees. I think the Steelers have a better defense. I think they have a better tight ends and running back and offensive line. And they've been working on that offensive line since 2021, since that guy got hurt. So, I don't know. I just think that the Bengals are 3rd in this division, and I don't know. Joe will help you a lot, but it's going to be a passing game for sure. They're not going to get a lot of rushing. I'm going to tell you that. I would be shocked if their running back is top in the league in rushing. That he won't be. I don't think he'll be top 10. So we'll see how that goes. I do have the Bengals winning this game, but gosh, Bengals start off slow, but this is the first time he's having a healthy training camp. So we'll see. Joe Burrow should be okay there. Texans have Super Bowl expectations. They should. I think they got way better on that offense. They have a solid tight end. They have a solid running back in Joe Mixon. That O-line is, I'm going to say, at least a B-. They have a great wide receiver trio. That defense is going to be very heavily on the young guys that are there, the veterans that they brought in. They obviously brought in Hunter. So I think that this team is going to be looking for a Super Bowl. I have them on top of this division, and I really do think Houston has very good chances and odds of beating a team like the Chiefs and very good odds of possibly going to the AFC Championship and winning a Super Bowl. There's other experienced teams that I have a problem with, such as if they go against the Ravens. It's just I don't know if they win against a very, very experienced team, especially a very powered defensive veteran team, because that is where you're going to get a little bit of a cooked. But I think Texans will be okay. Colts, I have them at third or second in the division. Colts are a team where if Anthony Richardson doesn't get hurt, they're solid. Is Joe Flacco going to give you a second year like he did last year? I don't know. They did get some offensive help and offensive weapons. They obviously got that one wide receiver that just continued to drop. So I think between their defense and them, they should be pretty good. But at the same time, you gotta watch out because I really can see Indianapolis being they're a make or break team every year. They're either gonna make the playoffs or they're not gonna make the playoffs. Every year they're an either or, and even if they're in that conversation to make the playoffs, they always somehow make it. They don't make it past that. So we'll see. I think Texans do win this game, although it's kind of one of those trap games where it's there's so much hype on the Texans that you kind of want to go Colts because there's not many people talking about the Colts. So it's hard. It's one of those situations where it's you don't want to pick the heavy favorite. So it's very difficult for me. And it's a divisional game, so those are always tough to call. The Jaguars and the Dolphins. Now, the Jaguars and the Dolphins. Jaguars will start first. Jaguars, I have them fourth in this division for a reason. They could easily get third. I don't think they're better than the Colts, and I don't think they're better than the Texans. Defensively, they're probably the fourth best defensive team in the league, or in that conference, sorry. They're the fourth worst in that division. I don't know what they did. They didn't make any significant move. Also, this is where I see a head coach being fired. I see a head coach vacancy coming up here. There's no way. So, offensively, what did you do? You got rid of a guy just to bring in some other people. I just don't think this team is solid enough to win anything. I'll be shocked if they win this division. I'll be shocked if they get second place. I genuinely just don't see the Jaguars doing anything. They're probably best case scenario being a wild card team. I don't see them being that successful. I see them missing the playoffs, and I do see Doug Peterson getting fired. The Dolphins are a team that I think they are last year. They were we hurt ourselves. We could have had the Super Bowl in our hands. We could have beaten the Chiefs. And hell, all we needed to do was make sure that we played at home. If they played at home, that game's probably completely different. So I wonder what Miami does this year. Offensively, I think they're going to be still a great team. Defensively, I do have a little bit of a question mark. You lose somebody in that defensive front. I think they're still going to be pretty solid on defense, and I think our offense might make up for their defense. So I'll go with the Dolphins in this game, and I'm going to go with them winning their division. With that being said, a team that has a lot to ride on. This is one where it's does the quarterback is this going to be a short thing with him? Is this hey, we drafted him first overall. Do we still do it? Who knows? Because if they get the first round pick again, what do they do? I don't think that offensive line is that good. I think you do get a good running back. You have help in the receiving core a tad bit, but that defense is still shite. And you got rid of one of your best players on that defensive side. So I don't see them being anywhere. I see them being bottom of the division. I don't see the Panthers doing a lot this year unless Bryce Young has a tremendous second year and a complete flip and turnaround compared to last year. The Saints. Now, the Saints are an interesting team. I think they're just that's a very older team. Defensively, I think they're solid but not great. Offensively, I think they're solid, not great. I think their receiving core lacks a lot. I see them being third, could be second in this division, depending on how good Carr does and how good this defense will be. If their offense gets no points, though, don't expect them to go anywhere. They could honestly take probably last place if Panthers score more than them. But yeah, the Saints are not going to be that great of a team. The Vikings. Vikings, you know you lost your rookie of the future at quarterback, but I think Sam Darnold is going to get put into a great situation if he continues to be the quarterback. You're going to have a best wide receiver in the league. You're going to have a good, solid number 2 option, and in 4 weeks, you're hopefully going to have a really solid tight end. Those are 3 guys that are solid, and that should help you passing-wise. This is his probably, compared to the other teams he's been on in the past, his second best team he's been on. Now, he's actually going to be able to start this year. But, I mean, Sam Darnold did pretty okay with the 49ers. So I think he'll do good with the Vikings. I think Sam Darnold, we all know that he was put into a stupid situation with Adam Gase and the Jets. And he was put into another terrible situation with Carolina. So, I mean, I think that he's put into a good situation here. I wouldn't be shocked at the Vikings. I do have them losing the division, but that's mainly just because I don't like their defense is still kind of young, and they lost a great player, but they did add a new rookie pass rusher who could probably win Defensive Player of the Year. So they're a little spotty, but it's just like when you think about the other teams in that division, it's like how much are they really going to win, compared to those other teams. With the Giants, if Daniel Jones has a very bad year, hell, if they don't make the playoffs, Daniel Jones is gone. I think their head coach is gone. I think they have a top 10 pick. I think they have a top 5 pick. They're probably going to be the worst team in that division. You could argue maybe third, but they should be one of the worst teams in that division. Their wide receivers are unproven. All the wide receivers they've gotten over the past make no sense because they haven't been utilized well. You bring in another wide receiver hoping that things change. I don't think things will. And that defense is shite. That offensive line is shite. So I don't know how I have faith in the Giants. With that being said, I'm going Vikings. Also, I don't think I said it, but the Saints. I'll be going with the Saints. Raiders and Chargers. Raiders are a whole new team. They get Christian Wilkins, and I think he'll be good with Max Crosby, who's already one of the top defensive players in the league. That secondary got a little better. I have faith the way they're coached. They have a good offense. The quarterback is why this team is underrated and undervalued. If they had any other guy under center in this game, if they had Justin Fields, they probably would be top. They would be winning this game, stat-wise. I think that everyone would be like, oh, the Raiders are going to win that division, or if they do what they did last year towards the end of the year, beat the Chiefs, all this stuff, they could very well much be in that conversation. And I think you could argue that. Minshew did very well with a team that wasn't that great offensively. I think you have not a great offensive line. You have a rookie running back that's very underrated, who took a lot of snaps towards the end of last year because Josh Jacobs got hurt. Zamir White did very well. You have a good wide receiver trio, even though people don't want to believe it. You have a good tight end duo in Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. He should have success on the offensive side of the ball. It's if that defense can answer. I think the Raiders are going to be a lot better this year. I have them as the second best team in this division again this year. With that being said, the Chargers. I think Jim Harbaugh might have a learning experience his first year. That O-line isn't really that great when you have to consider the possibilities of breaking down their teams. And I haven't even mentioned special teams in this video, but it's also for me to cut time. So the Chargers, defensively, they're older. I don't think that a lot of Joey Bosa is not really that great in my opinion. The secondary's not that fabulous either. I think there's still a solid defense, but it's not a great defense, and I think you're continuing to get older, which is not helping you at all. It's getting to a point I wonder if they decide to get rid of somebody on that defensive side of the ball because to make up cap to get maybe somebody younger on the defense or someone just better on the offense. When it comes to wide receivers and stuff like that, they have none. They have none wide receivers. Ladd McConkey could probably be a guy. The guy they picked last year, he's not worth anything right now. He's definitely not worth his selection when they could have had other guys there. I think that it's honestly a bad thing that he was selected that high. Um, I can't even name you their tight end. I can't name you their running back right now. They have 4 different running backs that were pretty much all backups. I mean, they pretty much have the Ravens secondary or the Ravens running backs. They have J.K. Dobbins, who he could be a solid option if he can stay healthy. Like, if he can stay healthy, he could be a really dangerous threat. But there's just too many negatives and not enough positives. So I'm choosing the Raiders here, and that's why I'm putting them third in their division. Because I just don't see yes, you have a good quarterback in Herbert, but Herbert you can't do a lot when you're throwing a ball to a guy and he can't turn around to get it. Like, he literally, unless he turns, I forgot, it's either he has to turn around and catch the ball, he can't catch a ball in stride, or it's vice versa. He can't turn around and catch the ball. He has to get it in stride. And as we know, getting it in stride is very difficult because it's either going to be a pick, or you're going to catch it, or it's just going to be deflected. So your odds of catching it is very limited, especially if there's a safety or you're getting pursued heavily. Broncos, Seahawks. Broncos are a team that obviously it's a learning year. I have them at the bottom of the division, clearly. I don't think I said the Chiefs. Yeah, I did. At the top of theirs, but because anyways. Broncos defense is, I think, going to be relatively solid. It's that offense I don't trust. That offensive line, I don't trust it. Bo Nix, I don't Bo Nix is going to be a guy who's going to stay in the pocket. His first 3 games are against the Seahawks, Steelers, I believe the Chargers. That's a rough 3 games. Think about the duo that they have. Joey Bosa will create some pressure, and obviously he's going to watch out for him. Khalil Mack probably will pop off that game. He loves going against rookies. TJ Watt, Nate Herbig, and Cam Hayward and Highsmith are going to be licking their chops knowing that a guy who stays in the pocket is going to be in this game. Especially TJ, because we know if you don't get the ball out in time and TJ gets past his guy in one move, which he more likely will, you're going to need help, and you're going to need to get that ball out way faster than you have been. I'm going to go and say that this is just a learning year. I also wonder if they put a time limit on the head coaching job of Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton, if this year doesn't go to well, I'm assuming he doesn't have high expectations, but if next year this team isn't good again, I wonder if they're looking at a new head coach. We'll see. Then it comes down to the Seahawks. Seahawks, I think with the new head coach, I think their defense is going to be really, really good. I think their defense will probably be one of the top in the league, at least top 10. I think that with some of the young guys they have on that team, especially with how good Witherspoon was last year. Offensively, I think this is a make-or-break year for Geno. With all of the rookies coming in, we're going to see, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, especially with the next few guys, what is next for your team? And one of those questions really is whether or not they're going to be successful with the quarterback they have in place. Your wide receivers are getting older, except for the rookie you got last year. But, your other wide receivers are getting older. How much time does Lockett have? How much time does DK have? And how much time does he have until he wants to get out of there, especially if you're not successful this year? I have them around third in this division. They could battle for second, but if they don't have a great year, I wouldn't be shocked if they're all the way in third place or even last if the Cardinals do well. But, yeah. Defensively, they should be good. Cowboy, I'm going Seahawks here. Your first game has to be in Seattle? Yeah, no. Cowboys and Browns. The Cowboys need to either sign Micah, who I don't think is that great, but everyone else does. And he's also very, very unintelligent sometimes when I hear his takes. And then you have to sign Dak. Dak's probably not going to get signed. He's going to go somewhere like the Raiders or the Jets. Personally, you need to go to an NFC team, dog. Because I say that because you need to go to an NFC team because if you want a chance to win, that's the chance to go. You don't want to go in a team in the AFC because it's too stacked. And if you don't get past Kansas City, you ain't going to get anything. So you have a more likely chance of being an NFC team and beating the best team in the division. But if you can't beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, then it doesn't matter either way. The Cowboys are probably going to pick up Shedeur Sanders. It's kind of like the way it's already written on the wall, which I think is stupid, but whatever. Have fun. Then I think defensively they took a step back this year. I think offensively, I can't even name you some of their wide receivers. And, I think they still have a solid tight end option. The running game is pretty off. It's going to be an interesting year. I definitely think they'll be second in this division. But I think the goal is to win a playoff game, the first playoff game, and see where we go from there. But this is a year where I just feel like Dak is just going to try to show up and show out why he deserves what he deserves. So I expect Dak to have a good year. And Dak is Dak is a guy who it sucks because if he wasn't playing for the Cowboys, I think he would get a little more respect. I think it's because he's wearing that Cowboys jersey. I think it's because you're played at a different aspect. Most people hate the Cowboys. Like, that's why I really don't respect the Cowboys. They're not that. I don't think they're all the hype. I hate their fan base. And when it's all said and done, I don't think Dak is that good with that team because there's always something holding them back. I think if he was with someone else, although I do think getting a big contract, I don't know. I think you should slow down. But with that being said, the Browns, their defense is the key. It is a make or break year for Deshaun Watson. You guys crapped on Baker Mayfield, the only man to give you a playoff victory. You guys crapped on him so hard, and he left, and he went to the Buccaneers and won them a playoff game. What are we doing here, guys? Like, the Buccaneers, man, they're doing okay. You guys would be in a better position if you had Baker. Getting Jerry Jeudy isn't going to help your team. That is so stupid that they thought that would actually work. Their offense is their biggest problem on this team, to be 100% honest with you, and it's mainly their quarterback. Deshaun hasn't played good football since 2019. He played not that well in 2020. He sat out 2021. He got massages in 2022, so he sat out most of the season except for the last 3 games. He got hurt most of the year, his first official year, and hasn't done anything. That is a lot of time that you haven't played good football, brother. So what are we doing here? So now if you have another bad year with how much your cap hit is, get that month out of town. Get him far away from Cleveland. Because that's just where the trash goes. What are we doing here? So I'm wondering what the Browns do after this. Because Deshaun is just going to ruin that franchise. And everyone wonders why bad franchises stay bad. It's because they make the stupidest freaking decisions. And then you have teams like Pittsburgh that, well, why don't they just sign these people to a big deal? They don't like doing that because of this. If they pay a guy that much money that's going to affect their team for the next 5 years down the road, why are they going to take a chance on that? They don't. Same thing with this goddamn team. There's a reason why we didn't sign Marchie. We didn't think he was going to be that productive in 4 years. Anyways, I'm taking Cowboys in this game, although I could just see the defense getting a pick six or a fumble recovery for a touchdown. But I do think Cowboys should be relatively okay. Commanders and the Buccaneers. Commanders are going to have a year where it's just a developmental year. I would not be shocked if they're 3rd or 4th. I believe whatever I said the Giants were at, put them above or under. I think that Washington is just, hey, you don't have a good offensive line. You don't have many good weapons besides Terry McLaurin. You got rid of your other good weapon. Your backfield's interesting. Your defense isn't great. So when it's all said and done, you just got to hope in the development. And you just got to hope that you can get this team solid. And you have a defensive-minded head coach, though, so hopefully he can help your team defensively. And hopefully you could take a step up this year. Buccaneers, I think they're going to have a similar year as last year. Not great, not terrible. I think Baker's going to still have a good year. I think that this is also a head coach where I could see getting fired. Not if they make the playoffs, though, I don't think. But when it's all said and done, Buccaneers are going to have a similar year as last year. I don't see them going above and beyond. I could see them being a playoff team. They're probably the second best team in the division. And honestly, maybe since they have a little more experience with each other this year, I wouldn't be shocked if maybe that offense, if that defense could hold up, I wouldn't be shocked if they would be better than the Falcons just because they have the chemistry already down. But I still think Falcons probably win this division. With this game, I'm going to say Buccaneers. Then there's been someone honking for 50 minutes. And this video is 40 minutes. It's ridiculous. Rams and Lions for your Peacock and Sunday night game. The Rams are a team where you lose one of your best stud players. Your defense is still going to be solid. You get some help defensively. And I think that should be okay. Your offense still has some weapons. You still have a solid tight end. You have solid wide receivers. You have a solid backfield. Not a great backfield, but a solid backfield. Their offensive linemen are always good. You just got to keep that man healthy, Mr. Matthew Stafford, and they'll be good. Good to go. I think they're going to be around second in this division. They'll be battling with the Seahawks for sure, but I think the Rams are going to win this division. Second to their division, and they'll be making a push. Lions, they have Super Bowl expectations. They want to win the championship. I think they could. I have them as the top of this division. Their defense got young. They got a lot more young guys in that secondary, but I do feel like they're going to be okay. Offensively, I think they're still solid. They have a solid group, and I think that this could be the year where we see Jared Goff have almost maybe an MVP. If he could have an MVP type season, this Lions team is going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm guaranteeing it now. And we know you kind of have to just have great stats for that stuff, but I think he could do it. I have Lions winning this game, although everyone's saying that maybe it's because, similar to what I said earlier, all the hype surrounding the Lions this year, maybe the Rams just come in, swoop under the carpet, especially because the Rams season ended last year in Detroit against the Lions. I wonder if they, maybe a little bit of revenge. Last two teams, the Jets and the 49ers. The Jets are going to probably be around the third place team in this division. Their defense is solid. If Riddick plays, should be pretty good. This offense is where I have them lacking. This offense, I don't think they have that many weapons. I still don't think their offensive line's that great. I wonder if Rodgers will get hurt this year again. And personally, is this Rodgers' last year? I think it might be. If this team doesn't win or go to the playoffs, I think this is Rodgers for sure last year, at least with the Jets. And head coach is going to get fired. My thing is, right, why is the Jets losing is big here. But what I hate is that the Jets are a team that I just can't stand, but, I just don't understand them. What's going to be their next move? So, at the end of the day, the Jets have a lot of questions after this season, but I think we'll see how they do this year. I don't think it's that great. I do think it's maybe wild card. But you are going against a lot of good defensive teams with a lack of offense. So we'll see how that goes. 49ers, they are going to go back to the Super Bowl. They at least look like it. They have everyone back. Everyone's at practice. No more disgruntledness. No more BS. No more freaking games. I think they are going to be a powerhouse this year. If McCaffrey can stay healthy, that team's going to be solid. So At the end of the day, I'm not going to go back to tell you guys what I think my predictions are with the rankings. This video is already too long. Let's go straight into my predictions for the awards. Comeback Player of the Year, that's a little tough. Comeback Player of the Year is going to go to one of probably three people. It's either going to go to Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, or Joe Burrow. I'm not going to say Joe because Joe just won it a few years ago, and it's kind of sad if he wins it again. At the end of the day, if Joe Burrow maybe goes back to the Super Bowl, they're going to give it to him. If the Falcons have a better season than the Jets, Kirk Cousins is going to win it. If the Jets have an unbelievable season that we think they're going to have, then he'll win it. But it's going to be one of those three guys. I don't see it being anyone else. I can't even think about anything else. There is one other guy, but he's still not playing a full year. But, I mean, the Comeback Player of the Year was a guy who got off the couch like halfway through the year. I would not be shocked, and it's actually a guy I think that deserves it. If Nick Chubb comes back and plays well after his gruesome injury, he should win it for sure. Like, I hate the Browns, and I hate the way their team is. I'm for sure would take Nick Chubb winning that award. It's an award that is deserved. The ones that they got last year were not deserved at all, and were kind of fluky. I don't know what they paid him. That's probably some of Watson's money. So now we got to look at somebody like rookie, defensive, and offensive. Offensive, let's be real. Caleb is going to win the award. If it's not Caleb, it's probably going to be Marvin Harrison. If for some reason the Bears do bad and not a lot of statistical stats for the Cardinals, if Brock Bowers has a really good year, he might be in the conversation. I just don't think he will. I'll probably just go with the safe bet and say Caleb. Could be any of the quarterbacks, but Caleb is probably more likely going to have it. Defensive, I'm going to give it to Dallas Turner. It could be anybody, but I think Dallas Turner gets the job done. Yeah, I'll go with Dallas Turner. It's hard because you always said it's hard to pick like positions because then it's just like, okay, well, how much depth is in this position than this division? You know, and the league tends to look at more pass rushers before they look at corners and stuff like that. So. Now, Coach of the Year. This is simple. Coach of the Year is going to go to somebody that it should have gone to last year. It's either going to go to Dan Campbell or it's going to go to Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans. I feel like I almost, oh my God. So, it should have gone to one of those two. And whoever's team gets closest to the Super Bowl, it more likely will be. The reason why I hated that Kevin Stefanski won it last year is because they said that he won it because of the way he had to deal with his team going down, which is hilarious because Tomlin did the same thing not too long ago, but got the job done. So I don't know. It's stupid. And not just Tomlin, other coaches have done the exact same thing he's done. So I was shocked that when they haven't won the award, he did. I mean, you could have given it to half the people in the league compared to him. Offensive Player of the Year is going to probably go to Tyreek Hill. It went to CMC. I don't think he wins it again unless he has another powerful year. I can't even name you another guy who I could maybe put in the running. I mean, maybe if Derrick Henry has a really good statistical year at running back. I can't really tell you running backs because, I mean, I'm just trying to look at every team right now and just see if, like, somebody's going to pop out to me in position-wise. I mean, maybe Stephon Diggs, but he has to get a lot of targets for that to happen. So I'll stick with my original. Defensive Player of the Year, it's going to go to one or two people. The guy who should have won it last year, T.J. Watt, I'm not going to say Myles Garrett. I'm going to say Max Crosby. Myles Garrett won it last year when he really didn't deserve it. Let's be honest. They gave it to him because they either just wanted him to have one because They knew that the way TJ was rolling, he might have 5 already by the time that Miles gets one. TJ literally should be on his 3rd already. TJ should have won it the year Aaron Donald won it. TJ then was like, okay, fine, I'll just almost break the sack record, and technically he did, but they didn't count one of his sacks, whatever. So he tied the sack record, so they had to give it to him. And then he should have won it this year because he had better stats statistically in every position, not just freaking sacks. So he should have won it, but they didn't give it to him. Guys, Nate Herbig, the backup, the 3rd, 4th stringer for the Steelers, had more sacks than Myles Garrett did in the last 6, 7 games of the season. That is sad. It's sad. Defensive player of the year. And then when they showed his stats on the thing, oh, he was the 5th in this, he was the 2nd place in this, oh, he was 5th in this. By the way, 1st in this one was TJ Watt. So stupid. But the reason why I say TJ is because that him getting snubbed is going to piss him off. And he does have to go against a lot of O-lines that are not that very good. He has to go, when you think about the Ravens, he averages at least 2 sacks per one game. He always gets one against against all of his divisional rivals, and depending on who it is, he gets more than others. And he has relatively, when you have the rookies and the bad O-lines, I would not be shocked if he has halfway through the sack record before the bye week. Don't be shocked if it's like, oh my God, he needs 10 more sacks. It's like, oh, but their schedule is tough. Yeah, he'll get 3 versus Baltimore that next week. So slow down. Offensive, I already said offensive. MVP, quite simple. I don't want to say the normal, although Lamar could quite win it again. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, people like that. I am going to give you 4 names who I think could genuinely win it this year. And I'm not doing Walter Payton Man of the Year because that is way too hard to predict. It's way too hard. I'm just going to guess conference. AFC West. It's going to go to the AFC West this year. It goes down to Tua. I think Tua could have a very good statistical year. He could win MVP. The only reason they wouldn't give it to him, though, is if Tyreek has too good of numbers. Then they're going to argue the fact, he can't be MVP if he has better ones than Tua. So he has to be the MVP. But since the MVP is most valuable quarterback, I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with Jared Goff. I am definitely going to go with CJ Stroud. Those are the 3. If I had to name you a 4th, personally, I'm going to say Jalen Hurts. I am sorry this video was so long. It's hard to break down into detail 32 teams without making each and every minute, especially because each of them have to get 2 minutes at least, depending on how fast I can go and talk. So I apologize for that. Before you guys go, real quick, if you guys want to do watch-alongs and just want to follow more of my content, I will do more streams that do videos just like this, but I do them with you guys, talk about them, communicate. I love it. We're going to watch some games together here soon, especially this weekend. Tomorrow, I don't think I will be able to watch that first game. I have a prior obligation I have to attend to. Thursdays will be rough anyways because of my schooling. But Friday we will watch the Brazil game. We will watch the morning games on Sunday, and we will watch college on Saturday. Join me live at twitch.tv/@ProDavid_777 and have a fun day, night watching this video. Hey, write these things down and see if I'm right. Put your predictions in the video for every team who you think is going to win the awards. My eventual Super Bowl is probably going to be a repeat of last year, or it's going to be Chiefs versus Lions. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it all the way through, you're a godsend. I am very shocked and appreciative of it. Thank you for spending an hour of your life watching my dumb face talk. So thank you. I appreciate it. Love you guys to death. Dominate the world because I am out. Peace.